Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. This time it is not a vlog style video, it is another video that I have for you guys. So I put a little question box on my Instagram asking you guys what kind of content you want to see, with a few people asked for a helmet tour. So I thought I'd jump on and give you guys a little tour and explanation of my helmets because they are really special to me and they do hold a lot of meaning. So I have 3 out of 4 of my painted helmets here with me today. The 4th one is in the US and I'm going to film that when I get back to the US and add it into this video so that I'm showing you all 4 of my helmets. So I'm going to do them in order of 1st to 4th, so the one that I got first and then move on through. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so I am starting off with helmet number 1. So this is the first ever painted helmet that I had. So all 4 of my helmets are done by the same helmet painter, which is a New Zealand helmet painter and a good friend of mine, Mitch Baker. And he has Mitch Baker design. This first helmet actually was something that I saved up a long time for. I really wanted an RI. My parents made my sister and I both save up pocket money and from selling our own things and doing lots of bits and pieces to be able to buy an RI. And then once we bought that, we raced with them plain white for a while before we got our first paint jobs, which we also saved up for. So I'm going to start talking about this a little bit. So all of my helmets have a few similarities through them, but also some differences. So this one was quite fun. I designed this when I was quite a lot younger and I spent a lot of time designing it with Mitch. He was very patient with me, but I always like doing things that are a little bit different and a little bit more out there than other people's helmets. So really important to me that this one was super bright. He and I designed this, but I didn't see any of the step-by-step process of the helmet being painted. So when it arrived, it was actually a surprise. There were a few things we hadn't decided on that he went and did, which was really cool. So one of them was my name. It was something that we hadn't discussed and I wasn't sure how I wanted it done. So he put a lot of thought into that and thought this was really quirky and a cool way to do it, along with the 4 stars that I have on all of my helmets for New Zealand. So I love that. All of my helmets have actually got diamantes on them and they actually all have 82, which if you guys know me, that is a really special number to me. All of the numbers I've raced with in my years have either been 20, 28, 8, 82, 282, something like that. And that was really cool because Mitch just placed these diamantes on and it actually took him at the time 5 minutes for each individual one. And when I received it, I counted them and it was not on purpose that there was 82, but I thought that was really cool and I was very excited about that. Well, I also found this pattern that I really liked. So Mitch put that through the blue and then he had the idea to add this kind of yellow detail through the helmet, which I think made everything pop. And this helmet I really love. It feels a little bit retro to me, which I think is really cool. We also did something which was inspired by one of Sebastian Vettel's helmets. And that was putting track maps on the top of all of my helmets. So they all have track maps, but they all have different ones, except this big one in the middle is on the top of all of them. And that is the Wellington go-kart track, which is where it all began for me. So that's really special to me. And then the rest of these tracks on the first helmet are all tracks around New Zealand. So I think that came up really cool and we loved that helmet. Mitch also took a lot of time to accessorize the helmet. So this one has run a couple of different visors. Another one that I love for this helmet was this bright pink and orangey style visor, which I really loved. But this was the original visor for this helmet, so I put it back on and restored it back to perfect. But Mitch chose these stunning bright pink vents to go on top, as well as an accent yellow rubber to go around the face and around the base of the helmet. So these little accents make a difference. You can see here he even painted the vents yellow. This was a stone chip here. So unfortunately this helmet has been retired because I actually had a big crash when I was testing at this kart track in Wellington, and my wheel came off and sent me spinning at the end of the straight, which is like a fast right kink, and it sent me spinning into a fence. I hit it head on and came out of the seat and my head hit the fence, and it actually took a big chunk out of it, and I was really gutted that it had ruined my helmet. It was not safe to race anymore, but I'm very lucky because Mitch actually restored it back to looking pretty much perfect. So I have not driven with it since, but it looks beautiful on the shelf. This helmet is also an extra small RI, which is not overly common to find except for the little ones, so I don't even think I would fit this one anymore anyway. So that is helmet number 1. Alright guys, so this is helmet number 2. So this is the helmet that I had painted for karting after I had to retire this one. So you can see there are some similarities. This fluoro pink you'll see across all of my helmets. It's funny because in day-to-day life I am not a pink girly at all, but I love this fluoro pink. So that is kind of a core color for me and my brand. So with this helmet, something that was really cool about this was Mitch hadn't got into chrome helmets yet, and I had just started racing in Australia, so I was very interested in how a lot of the drivers there had chrome helmets, and I asked him to do a chrome helmet for me. And it was something that he hadn't started yet, so he actually had to send my helmet to another painter to chrome dip it. And then returned it back, and we had a lot of trial and error with it, but I think it turned out really cool. So I also wanted blue chrome, which Mitch wasn't really in the position to do yet either, so we went for a thick blue glitter flake that we used, which I think is really cool. 82 diamantes again, but this time we did them all scattered around. Another thing we kept in this helmet from the first helmet is that same pattern, which you may be able to see in the grey here, and that is the same pattern that I had in this first helmet all through the blue. Now again, I like my helmets to be quite busy and have a little bit going on, so we added another pattern. And this pattern's actually really cool because I found this pattern. I spend a lot of time looking for something a bit quirky and fun and a little bit more geometric. And I saw this, I think I was at home watching The Block, and one of the houses that they had designed had a towel or a blanket that had a similar pattern to this, and I took a photo of it and sent it to Mitch, and he kind of designed this pattern around that. So that's that one there. So you can kind of see this like pearly pink reflective color in this paint as well. Now same again where we have the tracks on top, same Wellington go-kart track as well as a bunch of other tracks, but those tracks are actually Australian, so from my first championship racing in Australia. So it's actually fun to sit down and go back and look and try and remember which each track map is. This one also had some silver flake on it as well, so that came up really cool. I always loved this helmet from the back. I just thought this looked so cool with all the different colors, patterns and everything in one kind of moment here. Now another really special part of this helmet for me is my name. I looked at so many different fonts to decide how I wanted my name to look on this helmet, and I kept saying that I wanted it to be similar to my nanny's handwriting, which is my mum's mum, and she's really special to me. And I came up with this idea where I got her to write my name out in Sharpie on a piece of paper, and I took a photo and sent it to Mitch, and Mitch actually drew it into a font, and that's how I ended up with my name. So this is actually in Nanny's handwriting. So I think that's really cool. We went with a lip on this helmet, something a little bit different. Again, I always want something that's a bit quirky. A lot of people don't like that, which is something I like about it. It's just different, and it added another element to the helmet. I did end up running a different visor on this. You can see this one's pretty worn from many years of kart racing, but that other visor is actually in the US with my other helmet right now. Another fun fact about this helmet was actually this white piece here was not in the original design. So it was all chrome through there, and I was racing at an event called Race of Stars in Pimpama on the Gold Coast here in Australia. And someone's GoPro flew off their go-kart and actually hit me in the head and took a big chunk out of the front of my helmet. And I was lucky enough that Mitch is very kind and repairs my helmets, because I love when they look beautiful and perfect, and I take a lot of pride in looking after them. So he could not repatch the silver chrome, so instead he added this piece here, this white piece, and then refilled in this pink piece here, and you wouldn't even know. This helmet is really special to me. I won my first state title in this helmet and had a lot of success racing this helmet, so that's helmet number 2. So we call this helmet our satin helmet because it is chrome but in matte. So I really love how this turned out. So it was actually quite cool. Mitch and I designed this to be fully chrome. All the silver that you see is chrome. All the blue was going to be chrome. Even this pattern, I found this stunning marble pattern that I just loved, and that was going to be chrome with white through it. So it was basically like a disco ball, this thing. And Mitch finished it off, and before he clear coated it, he rang me and he was like, "What do you think about doing a matte helmet?" And I ummed and ahed, and I really didn't know what to do, because I had kind of thought that I wanted to do it all chrome, and he just said that the details popped in this satin matte kind of pattern. Now this was my first car helmet, so stepping out of go-karts into cars, hence why it has this forced air up here. So had it been a kart helmet, I probably couldn't have said yes to matte, because it's a little bit harder to keep clean, and it shows up flaws a little bit easier. But since I was going into car racing, I decided yes. And we kept this helmet matte, and I think it looks incredible. Unfortunately, it hasn't been worn that much, because I wore this one when I raced Super 3 in Australia. I then had to get a new helmet to be carbon fiber when I started racing in Porsches and in Carrera Cup. So this helmet is probably in the best condition out of them all, because it has been sitting on the shelf for some time. So a few details in this one. We kept my name and 4 stars, so Nanny's handwriting along with my 4 New Zealand stars. We also have 82 diamantes on this one, and this stunning marble pattern that I just love. So again, the back of this helmet is a little bit worn from the seat of some of the cars that I've been in, but this marble pattern is just spectacular. We also did this matte grey colour through the helmet, and that has the pattern from my other 2 helmets as well. So that pattern has carried over through all of them. Just a little special something that I love that has gone through all of them. So another stunning helmet with tracks on top. So these ones are a little more subtle, but we still have that New Zealand kart track in the middle. And then the tracks on this helmet are actually significant tracks to me in my racing career up to this point. So, for example, I had the track that I got my first podium at a national event. I have the track that I won my first state title at. I have the track that I first ever drove a supercar at. So a bunch of stuff like that, which is really cool. I've got Scusa, the Supernats track that I raced at. I've got Macau from when I raced there, and a couple others on here as well. So super significant to me. So you can see a couple of things. This being a car helmet, we have the forced air on top. So basically the hose from the car plugs in to this hole here, and that blows air down through the helmet onto our heads, which keeps us nice and cool. We also have our Hans device clips here. So that's what we wear on our shoulders, and the belt strap that down. It clips onto our helmets, which prevents our head from moving too far if we are in an accident. So that's that there. That is my car helmet from when I raced in Super 3, and I'm sure I'll pull this one back out to do a few more races in the future. So that's these 3 helmets. I'm now going to shoot across to the US, and I will show you my current helmet and how special that one is to me. Alright guys, I am back in the US now with helmet number 4. So I thought I would just quickly talk you through this helmet, which is my current racing helmet. So this is the helmet that I use at the moment for all of my racing. This helmet is a carbon fiber GP7 by RI. Let's get into a bit about the design. I really feel like for this helmet, all of my other helmets kind of came together. Starting with this beautiful blue that was in my OG first helmet with that gorgeous pattern through it, that florally pattern that is in all of my helmets, but in this helmet it's back in that kind of baby blue. So I'm really happy that we went back to that blue color, because I think it just pops so nicely against the pink, and it feels a little bit like me, and we've circled back to kind of my first ever helmet. So another thing that I love that we did with this helmet is we kept that same marble pattern that is in my previous helmet, but this time we didn't choose to go matte. So we kept the gloss, so you have this stunning chrome and white marble pattern, which I love. But my absolute favorite part of this helmet has to be the zebra print in matte pink. So that's probably my favorite part of this helmet, and probably my favorite aspect of all of my helmets so far. So it doesn't show up probably as well in camera as it does in real life, but the contrast from the chrome to the gloss to the matte is just so cool. So I love that about this helmet. Another couple of things that we kept was my name written in Nanny's handwriting with a little diamante at the top of the eye, and my 4 stars for New Zealand that are on every other helmet as well. This helmet also has the tracks on the top. So we do have the Wellington go-kart track, the same as on every other helmet, but I'm not going to tell you the other ones around it because I'm going to get you guys to comment below and guess the tracks. I'll insert a little clip so that you can see it better. But if you are from Australia or even New Zealand, I think you guys will recognize most of these tracks. The white in this helmet is also a special type of white that bounces color off, so it's kind of that like holographic white, which I think is really cool. This helmet unfortunately has had a little bit of wear and tear. You can see on the wing where I crashed. These wings are pretty fragile, a little bit flimsy, so it just broke when I hit my head. The actual helmet is totally fine, but just the beautiful little wing is a little bit damaged, so I'll have to send that back to Mitch at the end of the year to get it tidied up. We added a few little details on this one. I love the pink vents at the front and the pink vent clips on the top as well. This is our radio, so this clips into the car, and then I have a little plug down here which my earplugs plug into. And then the microphone, you can see just here that I talk into, and I just push a button on my steering wheel and talk into the microphone, and that's how we connect to the radio and chat to the team during our sessions. This is easily my favorite helmet that I have had done. I just think everything came together so nicely in this one, and it has all these cool elements without not being too much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me talking about my helmets, and you learned a little bit about the process as well as how important these helmets are to us as drivers. They are basically works of art. So thank you to RI and to Mitch Baker for these incredible helmets. Comment below which tracks you can see on the top of this helmet, and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I love making these videos for you guys that show you a little bit of the behind the scenes away from the racetrack. So comment below anything else that you would like to see from me, and I'll see you guys soon. My first international race along with Macau. No, Macau was my first international race. Scusa was, no, Australia was my first international race because I'm actually a Kiwi. Anyway.